Illegal aliens. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As you may know, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush thinking about running for president. If he does, he says he will run as an all-inclusive guy on the Republican side. Over the weekend, the governor made that quite clear when he spoke about illegal immigration.
I'm going to say this and it'll be on tape, and so be it. The way I look at this is someone who comes to our country because they couldn't come legally. They come to our country because their families, you know, a dad who loved their children was worried that their children didn't have food on the table. And they, you know, wanted to make sure their family was intact. Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love.
Now, that point of view has angered some hardliners who believe that foreign nationals breaking the law should be punished, not granted amnesty.
I understand what Jeb was saying, but we're also a nation of laws. And for those who are here without documents, they're going to have to face the law at some point.
And that's true. Anyone who crosses our border illegally or overstays a visa should pay a price. Let me repeat, anyone who does that should be punished to some extent. But as Talking Points has said time and again, the illegal alien problem is partially the fault of the U.S. government itself. Because for decades, it didn't stop people from crossing the border illegally. It let them come right over. And for decades, it did not track down visa violators, didn't care. So America itself has some culpability here. Also, what Jeb Bush says is true. Many illegal aliens came here out of desperation to feed their families. So compassion, if we are a compassionate nation, must be in play. That being said, some illegals are bad people who should be thrown out of here immediately. Each case is different. The Republican Party must compromise on the immigration issue or it will lose the presidency again in 2016. Last time around, Mitt Romney got only 27% of the Hispanic vote. 71% went for President Obama. If that happens again, you can go to President Hillary Clinton. Jeb Bush and other moderate Republicans understand that Hispanic Americans must be courted to some extent. And showing compassion toward other Hispanics is a good way to do that. But it's not all political. The USA should be a nation that understands oppression. And if you've ever been to Mexico, Central America, South America, you know most people down there live in dire poverty. It's awful. This country has always welcomed good people from other countries, but it must be done in a lawful way. Talking Points has put forth a sane immigration plan to deal with perhaps as many as 12 million human beings. All of them must register with the federal government within 6 months. If you do not, it's a felony. You'll be detained. Borders of the United States must be upgraded so illegal entry becomes extremely difficult. That must be verified by Congress. Undocumented aliens themselves must pay a fine and apply for citizenship. But they wouldn't be given preferential status. It'd take a while. Along the way, they would have to learn English, pay taxes, no welfare. They would, however, be given the right to work, as many foreign nationals are doing right now. But once the immigration reform is put into place, no other illegal alien would ever be put on a citizenship track. No more illegal intrusion. If you're caught, you're detained and deported, period. That's got to be in any new law. Now, that is a fair plan. And again, if the Republican Party gets behind that and can somehow come up with a good economic message, it will be able to compete in 2016. If it does not, Mrs. Clinton will be very happy. And that's a memo. Now for top story tonight, reaction joining us from Austin, Texas, Fox News analyst Karl Rove. And you say...
Like your plan, I'd have a couple of additional things to it. On the penalty, the people who are here illegally paying a fine, we ought to allow their employer to pay the fine, as well as the individual. We also ought to put in place so that they pay a fee that allows us to monitor them while they're here in the country. They pay the tab for it, so we make certain they're paying their taxes, don't run afoul of the law, meet their responsibilities, and are working. If they don't work, they've got a reasonable period of time to get a new job. If they can't get a new job, it's time to leave the country.
And all of those things, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I just want to make it clear. Yeah. I'm not quibbling with any of that. If you can enhance what I've said, and I also think there should be more stringent penalties to employers who continue to defy the law. We should go after them.
Well,
that should be part of it as well.
We have to have a system in place, too, where people can check easily the identity of anybody who wants to apply for work to make certain that they are eligible work. That's going to be difficult for Americans to accept, but we've got to do it. And then the final thing is... Right. There's got to be also a guest worker program that allows people to come here and work, for example, in agriculture for a brief period of time and return home. We have guest worker programs today. For example, most of the camps in the upper Midwest and the Northeast, the seasonal camps, are staffed by a lot of foreign workers who come here on a work visa. So we ought to have a guest worker program that allows people to come here as the market dictates to do things that we need to have done in our society.
So the bottom line is it's doable. I mean, good people, smart people can get together and do it. Now, Jeb Bush. So he puts himself on the line, sends a message that, look, I'm not going to pander. I believe that it's a compassionate situation, and it has to be dealt with as such. So you, Karl Rove, as a Republican stalwart, can you vote for Jeb Bush because he said that?
Yeah, look, I like the approach is sort of like he had started off strong. He said things that people, even if they don't agree with him on the policy solution, agree are right. It's readily acknowledged by a lot of people that most of the people who come to the United States illegally do so in order to take care of the economic needs of their family. They come because they want to find work in order to send money home to keep their families together. But where he got into difficulty was when he talked about felony and when he said it's an act of love. It is an act of desperation on the part of a lot of people who see the United States as a chance to come and work hard and achieve a certain amount of success that they can share with their family and use it for their family. But his language was a little bit of a, he got himself into a little bit of difficulty.
See,
but
I disagree with that. Listen, whether you agree or disagree with Jeb Bush, I like the straight talk. I like it. All right, so that everybody knows now who he is and what he wants. So I'll pose a question to you again. Can you vote for a guy like Jeb Bush? You, Karl Rove. Can you vote for him? Sure,
and look, and that's my point is I'm not certain how much disagreement there really is.
All right, so you can vote for him. Now, sure. you know the Tea Party and the hard right, not everybody in the Tea Party. There are some moderate factions of that.
No. This is not a question of conservative or moderate.
Oh, no, they're going to come after Jeb Bush. I already got mail. I already got mail that proves it.
I understand, but look, Jeb Bush is a strong conservative, and there are a lot of strong conservatives in the Tea Party movement who agree with him. We have a lot of them here in Texas
who recognize
people
who will not vote for him.
Comprehensive reform.
There are people who will not vote for him because of what he just said. And plenty.
Sure.
So how badly is that going to hurt him?
We'll see how many. We'll see. Look, we had a candidate who in 2012 said self-deportation was the answer. He got the Republican nomination, but he lost the general election. And he lost the general election in part because Latino voters turned out at an enormous rate for Barack Obama. That was Mitt Romney. But one interesting thing about that, Bill, you mentioned it earlier, 27% nationwide. In the 7 battleground states with exit polling, he got 33. And in the battleground of battleground states, Ohio, where you go, if you're a presidential candidate, you're going everywhere multiple times and your message ultimately gets through. He got 42%, which says to me, if we can put this message, this issue behind us, Republican conservative principles can be well received in the Latino community.
I don't disagree with that.
I see it here in Texas.
I
see it here in Texas all the time.
I think unlike African Americans who for the foreseeable future will vote bloc Democrat, I think Hispanic Americans can be persuaded. But you've got to get on the right side of this immigration issue, and the Hispanic American lobby can't think that you're trying to punish them. And that's what
I'm not worried about the lobby. I'm not worried about the lobby. I'm worried about Latino small business people and hardworking Americans of Hispanic descent who are
they're persuadable. They're persuadable, but you've got to get some immigration reform on the table.
Got to get the issue behind them.
That's